Welcome back to Down to Earth Mystic for another Pick a Crystal Tarot reading. As you may already be aware, but I'm happy to explain for those of you who don't, please take a moment to pause the video if you'd like and focus on the 3 crystals you see on the screen and choose which one is pulling you in. And then you'll notice below there are timestamps for each crystal. I'll number them 1, 2, and 3, and as well the name of the crystal. And so you can click on that timestamp and enjoy your reading.
All right, so for those of you who chose the Bumblebee Jasper, just as some bonus information, Bumblebee Jasper helps to calm scattered thoughts and to accept changes. So that might be why you were drawn to that one. So we'll do a Celtic cross reading for all 3 stones, but obviously the Bumblebee Jasper is first. So here we are. The first card is going to be the center of everything. I'll do it that way because I don't do any reverses. The center of everything, what's crossing you, so energy that's helping or hurting you. This is going to be your subconscious energy, your conscious energy, what is in your recent past. We're just going to scoot everything over a little bit. What is in your near future, how you are helping the situation or what you bring to the situation, your environment, your hopes and wishes, and then last but not least, potential outcome. So that would be all the cards and their placement. Now I'm going to dive into exactly what that means for you as a reading. So starting with the center of your situation, this is going to be the 9 of Pentacles. It does say ripeness. Generally, I consider the 9 of Pentacles as a card that means you're doing well in your own. You're a very independent person. And you're able to kind of bring in your material hopes and wishes based on your own accord. You don't need anyone's help with it. Now, just to further that with this particular deck, it does say ripeness, so I did read the story behind this particular author of the tarot card deck, the interpretation of that, and that would be basically, as you'll notice, there's a plum or an apple, I'm not exactly sure what type of fruit this is, falling from the tree. So it may actually kind of indicate that the time is right. The time is ripe for your hopes and wishes to come true, and it is basically falling from the tree because it is ready. So that's the center of your situation. So that's a really good start. The energy crossing, which would be helping or hurting you, is the ace of, actually no, this is the King of Wands. So I would say what is helping you in this situation for your situation to be ripe for the picking, or for you to be so independently ready for what it is that this reading is about for you. That's going to be different for every person. It is due to the fact that you've been excellent as a leader. This is the creator, so it may be that it is also a very creative person, so you may have created this opportunity on your own, and you are very, very much the center of why everything is going very well. So great card. You may also be a very strong leader. That's what that card could mean. So the subconscious energy is the Thunderbolt, which in some decks this is actually considered the Tower card. And as you may notice from the imagery, there are a lot of people falling out of this building. It's been struck by lightning. And so your subconscious energy is that everything around you is changing. Maybe more so that even though it might feel like chaos, it actually more so indicates that everything that doesn't serve you is falling away. So it's a very good thing. It just feels crazy. So in your subconscious energy, it sounds like you're seeing some changes or feeling some changes, because subconscious, you might not even really be fully aware of where this thought of changes or this thought of chaos is coming from, but it's kind of underlying. So your conscious energy is going to be the Seven of Wands, and it does say stress. So even though the chaos is subconscious, the conscious energy is stress. And so even though you've got a lot of great things going on in the middle, in the center of everything, it sounds like you've got a lot in your mind that's really kind of weighing you down. And that's normal with a lot of changes, with a lot of creativity. It might actually be like this Nine of Pentacles is indicating that as the really good stuff comes in, the stress is kind of clearing away everything that doesn't serve you, and sometimes it's hard to feel that it really is something that doesn't serve you that's falling away, because it's something you're used to. And so what's interesting with the imagery in this one is it looks like the person on the kind of trying to balance on this ball here may or may not notice, because it doesn't look like he's looking at it, may not notice this monkey about to pop this bubble that he's standing on. And so that actually might mean that consciously you feel this chaos that's coming in, but it's not actually in your reality yet. And so you've got a lot of thought about chaos and that is coming, and you've got this stress. And so I'm going to caution you to kind of just step back a little bit and see that everything is happening for a reason. It's all turning out. Everything is shifting into something very positive for you. So whatever feels crazy, like craziness, and feels like chaos, actually is for a good reason. So in your recent past, we've got the Eight of Pentacles, which down here says ordinariness. And so again, I read the story on this card for the creator of this deck, which is the Osho Zen Tarot. And ordinariness is pretty much stating that this person is really just looking around and appreciating all of the beauty that's around this person, and just really identifying that there's such beauty in the simple things and the nature and things of the sort. Now, generally, I see an Eight of Pentacles as learning, going back to school, just working very hard. So this site seems kind of like different, seems very nearly opposite, and that you're actually, with ordinariness with the Osho Zen deck, you're not thinking much, you're just enjoying and taking in. But I mean, it's still observing, but it may be that you've learned that the ordinariness or the simplicity of life is what is so beautiful. And so maybe try to look back at how you felt with that moment, if you're still feeling really stuck in your chaos and your stress. So moving on to your near future, this is nothingness. Now the 5 in the major arcana in the general deck is actually, excuse me, the Hierophant card, which is going to be a very spiritual person. I've seen it depicted as a lot of times a person with lots of different religious symbols around them, and it does pretty much indicate that you see the validity in all religions. You see the validity not necessarily in religion. I mean, the symbology that's typically on this card does indicate that kind of thing, but it's more so of like understanding the validity in everyone's truth. I feel like that's a much broader but yet more specific and more correct way to see this card, is that it's almost like you understand the nothingness. You understand that there's value and yet no value in everything. And to see that flip side is actually quite valuable. It helps you to have a sense of peace. So although you personally see the value in everything, which in this card, you were seeing the value in the simple things. You see the value in everything, but you also understand that it's kind of like in the eye of the beholder. So it's really more of your perception, is kind of how I'm taking this. So in the past, you were kind of like in the early stages of seeing that, and now in the near future, you're actually kind of not just identifying that it's a thing, you're feeling it, you're knowing it. It is part of your like perception on life, that, you know, there's value in everything, and yet the nothingness is almost like choosing what has value, but that is everything. It sounds like a very conflicting perspective, but it's more so that stress doesn't matter, chaos doesn't matter, everything happens for a reason. So that's more of where that's going. Okay, so what you bring to the situation, what you bring to your center of it, or like, you know, you've got this ripeness and it's ripe for the picking and you're the creator of it. You also actually bring patience. And so the Seven of Pentacles, you've got a lot of pentacles here. This is a lot about earthly, tangible, maybe monetary, but more so value in things, which obviously we've talked very much about already. But anyway, the Seven of Pentacles is kind of like seeds well planted. There's no need to worry, stress, no chaos, don't worry about that. That's just kind of like getting you off kilter, but it really is not as valuable as you may be placing that. But you'll end up bringing patience to the situation. And again, Seven of Pentacles is more like seeds well planted, don't worry. You can actually take a breather and just maybe enjoy nature like you did recently in your past, and know that everything is going to be just fine. Your environment, so maybe people around you are what would be, it sounds like you're in the center of the situation. You've got so much wisdom, so much value, so much understanding of the world and the worldly things, and how, well, not necessarily worldly things, but you have a decent understanding of the material things, but yet maybe it's your outside influences that are causing the chaos and the stress. And so it's just, you know, like you see in this monkey, or in this picture with a monkey, the monkey's the one about to cause the stress for this person, not the person themselves. The person's actually very centered, but your environment is the miser or the Four of Pentacles. So it might be that people around you are kind of grabbing onto, you could see in this picture, she's kind of holding on to her gems and her riches and her valuables because she's afraid to lose them. So that might be what other people in your environment are doing that are causing you the stress and the chaos. But I recommend that you look within, because you've already got that wisdom of how to get through this situation. Looks like your hopes and fears, or that's the placement of this card. It's your Ace of Pentacles, so another pentacle. But what's unique about this deck, the Osho Zen deck, is that the Ace is not actually it's not actually the beginning like it is in most decks. It's more like mastering. So you've already got a King, which is pretty close to King of Wands, which is actually pretty close to mastering something. You're actually also mastering the material things, the value things, the earthly things, the tangible things. So that's your hope and your fear. So in this case, a lot of times it can go either way. I'd say this is definitely more so of your hope. And you're very capable of attaining this level of knowledge, this level of understanding and this wisdom. I mean, I feel like it's like really strongly in your near future based on this card, even though this is not a pentacle card. So that is your wish. And then your possible result or possible outcome would be the 2 in the major arcana. It says inner voice. So as I've kind of been leading up to this whole time, this outside influence, nonsense. Just try your best to let it go and listen to your inner voice and know that you've got the patience that you need. Your seeds are well planted. This environment of yours where people are just kind of holding on to what they can, and erroneously, like, I don't even greed is kind of it, but more so like afraid to lose something. If someone's afraid to lose their belongings, and that just, it doesn't really feel like it belongs in your energy. It's just your environment. So listening to your inner voice is going to be what gets you to where you want to be. So that would be it for the message for the Bumblebee Jasper folks. Please comment below with any questions you have, any comments of like how this resonated with you. That'd be great. And I look forward to hearing your comments. I hope you have a lovely day. All right, for those of you who chose the zebra agate, this stone, as a bonus piece of information, is actually helpful for being a grounding stone, and it also helps to maintain a positive outlook no matter what your scenario. So we'll put that here, and then get the cards ready for your reading. We'll do a Celtic cross for your reading. And for those of you who are not familiar, I am actually going to go through each placement as I go along, and then I will give you my interpretation of the reading as a whole. All right, so there's your center of the situation. Here's the energy crossing you, which means helping or holding you back. Here's the energy that is in your subconscious energy. I'm actually going to scoot this over a little bit. Here's in your conscious energy, your near or recent past, actually, and your near future. And the energy that you bring to the scenario. Here's your environment, your hopes and your fears, and then the potential outcome. All right, so starting with the center. The center of the situation is going to be the Ace of Wands. This says the source. What's unique about this deck as the Osho Zen tarot deck is that the ace is not the beginning. The ace is actually mastering the suit. So with the center of the situation being mastering your creativity and your passions and your career path, that's really awesome. So this may be very much around career. We'll see as it develops if that resonates with you. It can go in many different directions, but basically the center of it would be your passions and your creativity and mastering that part of who you are. So then next, we've got what's crossing you, helping or hurting you, success. Well, that can't hurt. This is the Six of Wands. No explanation needed there. Success is really self-explanatory. So you've got success crossing your creative energy and mastering your creative energy. This is starting out really beautifully. So the subconscious energy is going to be the Lovers, which is the 6th major arcana card. Believe it or not, the Lovers sounds pretty straightforward of, obviously a loving relationship between two people, the union of two people. And yes, even though that's true, it can also it can represent looking forward to the future and planning your future, whether that's with or without someone else. So that is your subconscious energy. Your conscious energy is conditioning. And what's interesting about this card is the story behind it with the Osho Zen is really very different from what I've seen with other tarot decks. And so I'll focus on that. So the story behind this is this lion has grown up with sheep. And so you'll notice, if you look really closely, this lion is actually wearing a sheep fur. And so the story was, a lion walked over to this lion and said, "Hi, lion." And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not a lion, I'm a sheep." And he goes, "No, you're a lion." And so what happened is he grew up his whole life around these sheep, so he came to the conclusion he was a sheep. And so it took going to a lake or a river or some kind of body of water to see his own reflection to know, oh my gosh, I'm not a sheep, I'm a lion. And so I feel like the story behind that is you're becoming more conscious of the conditioning that you've experienced, that you're going through, is in your past, that you may have been conditioned to believe that you're not. I'm not going to say sheep aren't as good or as valuable as lions, but in this case, it's more so that like you're more powerful as a lion than as a sheep, and you may have started to realize you're much more powerful than you've grown up to be, or that you've, created the illusion of in yourself that you are. So it's very good to be in your conscious energy. Now, in your recent past, we've got the Queen of Pentacles. Nothing wrong with that. That's actually really good. In your past, you've been really, you've had really strong values. You're very nurturing for other people. Flowering says to me that you're just kind of like grounded, earthly, down to earth kind of person. Yeah, so that's your past energy. Certainly not a bad place to be coming from. And now you're stepping into the Major Arcana 19. It says innocence. So what's interesting about this is it's very similar to me of the Osho Zen's interpretation of an 8 of Pentacles, which is kind of like you're just starting to see the beauty in the simplicity of things. You'll notice this guy just looks so happy to be looking at a praying mantis and just seeing the natural beauty and appreciating the magnificence of a praying mantis. And so it really is just kind of like being able to look so deeply and to be so satisfied in the simple things. So that's in your near future. That's really awesome. It kind of sounds like a shift in energy when you're so focused on looking into the future and seeing that you're different from what you have grown up to be. And actually I'm feeling this as maybe leaving. This may not be the truth for everybody, but some of you it's going to resonate deeply, that you're starting to realize you're not quite as focused around your career as you used to be. You're starting to see something different. And so whereas you were really good with finances and money and nurturing people, and you were so driven to look to the future, and you've had success, and even though that sounds like a positive energy to be crossing you, it actually might be what's hindering you from really finding the beauty in the simple things like you're going to in the near future. And you may have already started to, but it actually seems more like it's a big shift in personality that you're consciously seeing and feeling. So what you bring to the situation is exhaustion. This is a 9 of Wands card. So 9 of Wands has been not really depicted well in this particular picture from this particular deck. Is that it's kind of like a wounded warrior card where you've always tried so hard and you've really grown a lot in all of your adventures and all of your struggles, and you've become a very strong person because of it. And you're really, it can be in a positive way, it can also be in a negative way, that you're kind of defensive of who you are. And so that persona of always needing to be really dependent on yourself might be bringing you some exhaustion. And so that's kind of maybe what's part of what's causing the shift. Like, not only are you feeling it, that you're conditioning to be a certain way, is probably not necessarily where you want to be. In your near future, you will be in a different state, and it's probably triggered somewhat by your exhaustion in your current state. So in your environment, we've got integration, which is really interesting with all the other stuff that we're seeing, because it's almost like you're starting as material and career minded, and now it's leading to exhaustion, and you're driven by looking forward to the future consciously, and you're starting to see that shift and understand the conditioning, and then the innocence comes in, and your environment is conducive for finding a blend of both, finding that balance in both, kind of the spiritual aspect of things, but also the material aspect of things. And so you're shifting from material to more spiritual, but also not just shifting from one extreme to the other. This yin and yang here kind of gives me the impression that you're actually going to find a very balanced, beautiful, comfortable, like just peaceful way to blend the two together. So that's awesome. Fantastic. So that's your environment and your hopes and your fears. This I could most definitely see as applying to both hope and fear. It's more so, you know that it makes sense to go with the flow. This is the Ace of Cups, which again, with the Ace talk I gave you with the Ace of Wands, the Ace of Cups is actually traditionally thought of as the beginning of something, but in this deck it's more so of mastering the possibility of going with the flow. And so I could see how that would be both a fear and a hope, and that you understand with your innocence and your appreciation of the simple things in life that you're about to step into, that you could see how going with the flow would be valuable. Going with the flow brings you into everything that you've ever wanted, because the universe has your back. The universe is conspiring with you to give you all your dreams. But yet, with this previously super career focused mindset, it's hard to really see, or hard to really live that mentality with ease. And so although going with the flow does suggest ease, when you're so much in control of things and not just going with the flow, it's really difficult to kind of let go of the reins and let the good happen. But that can bring you that peace of mind to go with the flow. So I'm seeing this as kind of also your possible outcome, because it is your hope and your fear at the same time. But yet the actual possible outcome is going to tell you a little bit different story. But keep in mind, I did specifically identify or emphasize possible. It does say clinging to the past. This is the Five of Cups. This card has traditionally been kind of deemed or nicknamed crying over spilled milk. So what I'm going to mention with that is, it may be hard to let go of your career-minded self and step into this peaceful part of you. Although in your near future it is part of you, I'm going to caution you to try to go with the flow a little bit better, or a little bit more. Understand that that's going to help you to find peace within, and so that you don't actually want to find yourself crying over spilled milk. Take some time to really connect with who you are, what you want, exactly like connect with what your dreams are. So that makes sense why you were drawn to this zebra agate, that helps you to maintain a positive outlook, no matter what your scenario is, and actually also to be grounded. So grounding can be helpful when you're in this place of like being really drawn into the natural, innocent beauty of things and nature and things of the sort, to kind of find that balance that your environment is allowing, it's bringing. So that's it in a nutshell. Big nutshell, 13-minute nutshell. But basically it's you're going to find yourself shifting and changing. Going with the flow is probably your best plan of action. Though I caution you to prevent the being sad about what your past was, really embracing the innocence to find yourself in a happy, peaceful blend of the material and spiritual together. So that is your message, Zebra Agate people. I hope you loved it. Please give me a comment below with how this resonated. If you have any questions, I love to read you guys' comments and I love to interact with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed your reading. Have a lovely day. All right, for those of you who chose the Serpentine crystal, just as some bonus information, Serpentine crystal helps to promote compassion and forgiveness, and it helps you to understand what's bothering you. It can also trigger a Kundalini awakening. So, bonus information on that one. Let's dive in to your reading. So I will be doing a Celtic cross. I will be going through the placement of each card first, and then I'll go through kind of the meaning of the reading itself by going through each card individually. So, without further ado, let's get into that. Okay, so the first card is the center of the situation. Next card is the energy that's crossing you, which is helping or hurting you. Then we've got the subconscious energy. I'll make some room so I don't bump into too much here. And then we've got the conscious energy. And the near or recent past, I mean. The near future. This is the energy that you bring to the situation. This would be your environment. Here we have your hopes and fears. Sometimes both, sometimes one or the other. And then possible outcome. All right, so now we have all of the cards. So we'll go through each one individually. Initially, we have in the center of everything, 6 of Wands, success. Awesome. Who doesn't want to see that? So it may be that that's what your mind is set on. It might be that you're experiencing success. Regardless, whatever it is the center of your situation. It'll make sense to you. It'll resonate to you what your particular scenario is. The crossing energy, or the energy crossing you, helping or hurting you, I'd say this is helping you. This is the 3 of Pentacles, and it says guidance at the bottom here. So, interestingly, as I've mentioned in the other 2 readings, the Osho Zen Tarot deck has a little bit of a unique interpretation. So I'm going to give you kind of both of my understandings of the 3 of Pentacles and also what Osho Zen says about this card. Always really interesting, really awesome interpretation, just letting you know it's a little different. So the 3 of Pentacles for me generally means collaboration, which I guess after I explain the Osho Zen, you might see how those are connected. But it's collaboration, teamwork, working with others. So it may be that you've had success by working with others. Now, the Osho Zen interpretation is, if you'll notice, there's an angel in the middle here who is facing away from the person who is kind of actually more the center of things, but this person is looking away from the angel. And so with it being called guidance, the meaning behind it is that essentially you've got some guidance coming in, but you may not be listening. You might not actually be paying attention to this good advice that's coming your way. So I could take that in 2 ways. If this energy is what is helping or hurting you, it might be helping you if you listen, hurting you if you don't, or maybe not listening to someone's advice is what has helped you to find your success. So with this, generally to me, meaning collaboration, I'd say listening to the advice is what has helped you. But in your particular scenario, you'll know how that resonates. So We've got your subconscious energy as the major arcana number 21. So this is the end of a cycle. In your mind, you're thinking it's the end of a cycle, the completion of something, which it says down here. The World card, which is known as usually in a tarot deck, is kind of the end of something, the end of a cycle. Not it's a successful end of something typically, but it is that feeling of completion, of being finally done with something in a very good way. Your conscious energy is integration. So this can come across in a few ways. I like that it shows in the middle the yin and yang. So that is basically the dark energy and the light energy blending together in a beautiful way. Could also be masculine and feminine blending in a beautiful way. It is balanced regardless. This is just like the Temperance card in a typical tarot deck. This is number 14. So yeah, balance is kind of the theme. Integration to me tells me not only is it a balance of two opposing things, but it also is a blending of those two things in a beautiful way. So it sounds like consciously you're thinking of a beautiful balance working together. So collaboration seems like more the interpretation for this reading, and having success with it. You're seeing as something, or you're feeling something coming on subconsciously as potentially the end of something. So we'll see where that takes us. It looks like in your recent past, we've got the 10 of Cups. And harmony is what it says at the bottom. So it sounds like you've had some harmony with potentially a collaboration in a business, maybe. Not necessarily a business, could be a relationship. You've had some great harmony and some peace of mind. This person looks very at ease, at peace. In your near future, we've got another 10, but this 10 is a 10 of Wands. And the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Wands have really, I'd say, fairly opposite meanings. The 10 of Cups is happiness, peace, at ease, and then as you can see, suppression on the bottom of this card for the 10 of Wands. It can still be, interestingly enough, the 10 is generally the ending of a suit of the pip cards in the minor arcana. So with this being the ending as well, and the 10 of Wands being kind of suppression or oppression, or feeling burdened, like you're carrying a bunch of burdens, it's also still the end of something. So it can be the end of the burden. And so when I see, interestingly enough, we've got like happy and tough and integration kind of in the middle. I know it's not here in the middle, but I don't know, I'm just kind of getting the feeling that you're feeling torn between two different things. Something that used to bring you happiness that's currently bringing you burden. You're feeling like it's the end of something. You're trying to integrate all of it together and make sense of it. So let's move on to the rest of the cards. We've got the energy that you bring to the situation. Maturity is what it says at the bottom. This is the Ace of Pentacles, which in this deck, the Ace of Pentacles is more so of mastering of a suit versus the beginning of a suit. And so maturity makes sense. This is maturity, or mastering your values and your earthly things and your material things. And so again, because it's mastering, that feels like another ending, another completion, another prepping you for the next phase kind of thing. So that's even in your energy, not just kind of in your situation. Your environment is the Four of Pentacles. It says the Miser. As you can see, she's kind of really clinging to her material things. And so it sounds like, even though it could be those around you that are clinging to you when you're trying to separate yourself, it could also be that you are clinging to your environment. So it could go either way. But it sounds to me like you're starting to feel that this is the end, and that you've got happy past, kind of stressful near future. You might be clinging, what it is that you're trying to leave might be clinging. So take that how it resonates. It's going to be different for all of you. It looks like in your hopes and your fears, This is the King of Wands. So the King of Wands is going to be, normally I would say the master of a suit, but obviously in this deck I've already mentioned that the ace is mastering the suit. But this is going to be a leader. This is going to be someone who's very career-minded, and I'm kind of getting some goosebumps and tingles as I think of this, but it sounds like maybe you, in the past, you've been a very good team member, and you're wanting, and you've enjoyed it. You've had peace. You've loved to collaborate with people. You've integrated with others' ideas, but you're coming to the end of being that team member. It's time to, your dream and your hope, probably also somewhat your fear, is that you're stepping up into a leadership position. And I say position, it sounds like I'm talking about career. It doesn't have to be a job, but it is something that you're stepping, kind of taking a step up, graduating to the next level of something, and being a leader with that mindset. And so we've got your possible outcome. This is a very interesting card. I love the interpretation of this card. This is comparison. This is the Five of Swords. And in some decks, the Five of Swords is kind of like an internal conflict. And I love, like I said, the interpretation of this card. It just goes a step further to kind of specify why there's an internal conflict. And if you notice, there's a bamboo here, and then there's some tree with bark. So clearly a different type of tree. And so what causes the internal conflict is only if you compare yourself to something you're nothing alike. There's no reason for, let's just say this is an oak tree. There's no reason for an oak tree to compare himself to bamboo. Yeah, they're still growing out of the ground, but they're totally different. This guy's going to be used for, I don't know, a very efficient way to make something because bamboo grows so fast. Oak tree might be used because it's so sturdy, so strong. It might be used for something it really takes a lot of strength and oomph, very strong table maybe. I mean, it's just, there's no reason to compare yourself to something else that is of a different purpose. Still potentially used to make furniture, but maybe not. This has a different, better purpose than that. Nope, not even better, just has a different purpose. So you're going to find yourself in a place of conflict if you either compare yourself to others or compare yourself to who you used to be as that team member and not the leader. When you step into the leader and not compare yourself, that's where you're going to find your true happiness. So the outcome, or potential outcome, and I like to emphasize potential, is that you might find yourself in that conflict, but only if you decide that you need or you must compare yourself to others. If you step back and realize, oh, no, I'm me. I am uniquely me. I'm very capable of being a leader, very capable of having that success that I've had in the past with collaborating with other people, but there's also potential for success by being that leader. And if you maintain the perspective that you have to be a team member, which a leader's still a team member, don't get me wrong, but if you maintain the perspective that you have to be a follower, that's better, not just a team member, but a follower, then you're going to cause yourself in this near future some burden. You're going to carry a burden that's not yours anymore. And I actually really like suppression in this particular reading with this particular scenario and layout of cards, because you're going to be suppressing your potential if you continue to compare or start to compare. I'm not saying you have, because it's in your possible outcome. If you continue or possibly or consider staying where you are and not honoring that completion that you subconsciously know is right, and that next step, you're going to start to feel suppressed if you don't already. So, moral of the story is that you have so much potential. Please do not suppress that potential. Please do not compare yourself to others. You are uniquely you in a beautiful way, and you can integrate your team member mentality, with your leadership mentality. And this is an easiest scenario to pop into a work scenario, but it can be in many different ways. Maybe it's how you interact with your family, or how you interact with your friends. Maybe your friends are desperately looking for someone to kind of lead them in a different direction. I don't know. Who knows? That scenario can work in different ways. But again, moral of the story, if you start to or continue to compare or suppress who you are capable of being, it will be uncomfortable. But you are capable. This is confirmation. You are very capable of your subconscious understanding that something is coming to a completion, and it's time to move on to the next step. So, hope that was helpful. Hope you have a lovely day. Please comment below with any questions that you have, or any ahas that you've had during this reading. I love to hear those, and I look forward to seeing you in the next reading. Again, have a lovely day.